So we're going to sew on some binding. And I have a metal binding that has like little gems in it. And I have a plastic binding that's attached with little strings. This is the one that's attached with little string. It's a little bit thicker. But they go on exactly the same. So what you're going to do is be going over the strings here. So same concept. I wouldn't suggest measuring it out and saying, oh, this is where I need it and cutting it here. I would wait till you get right to the end and see what you need, because I did that before and cut it off. I thought I had enough and there was a space and it did not feel good. So same thing. You can use the binding as a guide too. Close but not too close. And you're just going to start sewing the binding down. I like to guide it with my hand. Keep this one in place and keep this one where I want it to go. Because you really don't want this stuff to get too close to your row of beads. If you get too close, it'll start to go sideways like this. And you really don't want that. We want your gems facing upwards so they can catch the light. So same thing. Over the binding. The metal binding, it won't have two pieces, it will have one joiner in the middle, and all you're doing is going over that joining piece of metal. And I gave everybody enough binding so that if you wanted to do your first row just binding, you could do that. If you wanted to do all your beadwork first and then do your binding last, I gave everybody enough to be able to do the binding last too if they like. And I'm guiding, keeping this tight, and I'm guiding with my other hand, guiding with my thumb. But I think one of the key things that I'll tell you guys is to really not get too close to your row before. I know we want to get everything nice and snug in there, but even the tiniest more space looks way better than the tiniest less space, because you'll get that bunched up look, and that's how the binding goes on. And if you notice too, whenever I go to the bottom side like this, I always grab my string with my other hand, usually always, and I try to keep it secure, not super tight. See, this spot look like it kind of wants to do that roll bunch, so I'm going to give it a little bit more space so it doesn't have the chance to do that on me. So this is the point where you'd fit it in. This one's going to go completely over that one, so you cut it here and you sew the next one down, and that's that. But you go over the next one and you can chop it off here. Tie your knots on this side. There's no need to hide it because it's already on the side where you can't see anyways. Make your knots nice and close. And chop it off. And this wouldn't be on there, but that's how you put the binding on. So yeah, just make sure you leave your little bit of space on the outside, because this stuff will turn sideways, and I've done it before. So when you're happy with your bead job and you've went around a few times, you're going to cut it out. And another really important part of why you want to keep your needle consistent with the distance that you're going in is that when you're cutting this, you really don't want to cut your beads off or hit your string, because it will cut your beads off. So everybody has a piece of backing in there. So you're going to take your gem and put it on your backing. I usually use the E6000, but if you have like the white like material glue, that will work just fine too. So you're gonna put some on there. Make sure you reach the edges, but you don't want a whole lot on your edges, because you're going to be going around your edges with the needle again. And if you put way too much glue in there, it's going to be a little bit difficult pushing your needle through. So we would usually give this more time to dry. Cut it out nice and flush with your pellet material. And I'll show you guys how to do an edge real quick. So same thing, thread your needle up, and if you want to double it, you go right ahead and double. Trim off the tail there. There are a couple edges, and I will show you both. The ones we usually do anyways. So when I start an edge, I usually, because there's a knot on the end of my string, and I really don't want to just go in here and have the knot hanging there. So I like to come in right into the middle of the pelham. I'll push it in little ways and come out my pink. And when I pull it, the needle or the knot will sink right in there and you won't see it. So the first one I'll show you is a 2-bead edge. To start a 2-bead edge, you need 3 beads. Go in, I would say 2 millimeters. I don't really know if it makes a difference if you're right-handed or left-handed, but if it feels better to go the other way and more right, you go right ahead and go the other way. But I always go clockwise. So you got the 3 beads on, you pull them, and you can see that they kind of stack themselves up, but they're falling towards the back. So there's the first bead I picked up, the second bead, and the third bead I picked up. I'm going to go through the third bead I picked up from the base up to the top, going up. Give it a little pull and they will stand up by themselves pretty well. Until we get back here, we're going to pull that one forward. And if you want to get fancy with a 2-bead edge and you want to put a different color on top, if you want to do a different color on top, so it should be like white, black, white, or I guess we'll say beige. So 2 millimeters over, and you want to keep that nice and consistent too, because if you go too far over, these beads are going to have string in between them and you'll see it. Another tip, you see how I'm coming out very close to this line of beads and string? You want to make sure that you don't catch your string here. You don't want to have, because when you pull that, it's going to pull your beads. So be very careful not to scoop up that string. Give it a pull back and forth. Come up your last bead, and I'll do beige and white again. So 2-bead edge, you're going to pick up 2 after the 3. The only time you pick up 3 is for the first initial setup of it. So you pull it bottom to the top, coming out the pelham, and I'm not picking up my string from my beadwork, from the bottom to the top. And you should give them a nice tug so they stand up. Beige and white, 2 millimeters down, don't catch the string, pull it, and then up the white. I'm going to end this off. So usually when you come around here and you've got your 2 beads on, if you're up here, you're only going to put 2 on, and you're going to recycle this guy and come back down it. But I'll give you an example of that right now. So don't do this, I'm just ending this off. So let's say we're coming around. I'll say there's beads all the way around it, and we're coming up to the end. I have to put 3 on because just for pretend. Okay, so I'm all the way around, and I just need the 1 beige to finish off my pattern. 1 beige, go down. You can go into your pelham, and like I said, I'm still not really on making knots on this side. I try to keep it all nice and pretty on that side, so you can pull back through. You'll end up between your edged beads and your beads that you put around your earring, your gem. And I'm going to do the same type of knot. Sometimes too, it'll help if you have another hand, somebody to hold this part down. But I'm going to get right in there and tie the knot. And this knot will be hidden as well. There we go. And just chop it off. And I'll show you the 1 bead edge as well. Okay. So to start a 1 bead edge, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go in the inside to hide the knot. Give it a pull. And to start a 2 bead edge, or 1 bead edge, you're going to need 2 beads. I'm going to do an alternating one. So I'm going to do white and beige. Same distance for the first one, a couple millimeters down. Make sure you don't grab your string from your other row. And you're going to go up it. Up the last one. The same thing as the other one. And now you're going to pick up 1 bead. You're going to go maybe 1 millimeter over, right next to your previous one. Pull it. And then you're going to go up it. And when you give it a little back and forth pull, it'll lay it down flat. Through one, up the beige, back and forth, white bead, millimeter over, don't catch the other strings, pull it, and then up it, back and forth, tug, bead through, and then up it. And the way we add the hook onto it will be the same way, no matter what kind of edge you decided to do. And then up it. So when you get over here, you're going to put 1 bead on, and you're going to go down this one, through this stuff, and tie your knot, hopefully on the inside. And that's the 1 bead edge. And maybe I'll put a hook on both sides.